Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. As you gear up and get on Black Ops 6 for the very first time, there are a couple of things you definitely want to be aware of as you jump into your very first matches, specifically when it comes to multiplayer, but also just in general if you're diving into potentially some campaign or even some zombies as well, just to optimize your overall first experience and first few matches or days of playing even. So as we dive into all the details here, if you enjoy the video, if you find it helpful at all, a like rating is seriously appreciated, does help grow the channel and spread the video around to new viewers. And if you happen to be one of those new viewers, or maybe you have not subscribed yet, we should change that every single day. I got you covered with absolutely everything going on in Call of Duty, whether it's updates, news, reveals, patch notes, meta breakdowns, it's all right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. Obviously, lots going to be happening here in the next few weeks with Black Ops 6, so you'll definitely want to stay tuned for all the content dropping. But as mentioned, as you're first diving into Black Ops 6 here, we're all kind of on the same fresh experience, and there's a few things you can do to truly optimize things. So keep in mind as you are going through and you're leveling up, this year we do have the full return of Classic Prestige. So just like now when you're going through, everyone's starting out at level 1, you're ranking up to 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 55. You're unlocking things for the very first time. Weapons, perks, equipment, all sorts of stuff like that. As you go through and you are leveling up, say, Rifle 1 or SMG 2 or whatever the case is, if you're worried about going through and prestiging because you don't want to have that stuff reset in full, they've changed things up with Classic Prestige this year. Yes, those weapons will relock, so if Rifle 1 is unlocked at level 6, you won't get that rifle again until you get to first Prestige level 6 or SMG 2 at level 14, whatever the example is, right? However, once you get to level 14 and you get that SMG back that you were using a lot in your first Prestige, well, it's going to be wherever you left off on. So if you got it to level 27 and then you prestiged, once you go through, you unlock that gun again, you're back at level 27 and you can continue your progress there. There is no full reset on weapon levels or weapon camos, so basically all weapon progression stays the same even as you are prestiging. So if that was a concern of yours, you don't actually have to worry about that this year whatsoever. The main concern really as you are prestiging though is having to wait to use those weapons again. The weapons obviously being the main thing, of course it applies to perks, equipment, and everything else that's relocked, but weapons being the primary thing, they actually have a really cool workaround this year if you're interested in it, and that is blueprints. Basically, blueprints in Black Ops 6 are going to function as permanent unlock tokens. When you go through and you do prestige, you get one permanent unlock token to use on whatever you want in the game, whether it's the max level weapon or a specific perk or piece of equipment that you love to use or a wild card you really enjoyed, right? But if you have a blueprint for the XM4, well then the XM4 is going to be unlocked right away even as you prestige at level 1. If you have a blueprint for a weapon that you unlock at level 45, it unlocks by default at level 1 when you go through and prestige because blueprints are permanently unlocking that weapon. So if you were to go through and get any bonus blueprints from any of the promotions, if you were to buy some from the store, whatever the case is, however you acquire a blueprint, it's basically an additional permanent unlock token for any weapon that it's for, which is an interesting system for sure. And speaking of getting extra blueprints, another tip you definitely want to know if you're someone who's a fan of the campaign, we do have specific campaign rewards this year, and in those campaign rewards for going through and completing certain missions are a bunch of different weapon blueprints. Now they are for some of the base weapons that are also included in the Vault Edition, so if you already have that, there's really no need to double up unless you just want to play the campaign for the story, which I'm sure is going to be great, of course. But if you don't have the Vault Edition and you're trying to get some easy extra blueprints, just playing through the campaign and beating that is going to get you access to a bunch of guns that you will then have permanently unlocked. So kind of a win-win there. You get the other bonus rewards from the campaign, you get some blueprints, and then it also directly makes your life easier over in multiplayer as well. Now, shifting focus away from some core mechanics and actually talking some strats here for launch, if you're like me, you're going to be jumping into multiplayer right away to start leveling up your guns, unlocking attachments, and ultimately going for some camos in the background as well. And this year with XP, first and foremost, if you're looking to maximize your XP earn rate for your weapons to get them leveled up as fast as possible, since obviously pretty much every weapon in the game has between 40 and 50 levels, it's going to take some time to max those out and get every single meta attachment or or even just every attachment to test around with various different builds, you're going to want to level up your weapons as fast as possible. We as a community are definitely going to have to do some in-depth tests to see if maybe multiplayer or zombies is going to yield more efficient weapon XP. In previous games, it's been sometimes multiplayer, sometimes zombies. You also got to factor in, do you want to have to deal with skill-based matchmaking in multiplayer and maybe a variance in how much XP you're getting per game versus zombies, which might be a bit more chill, but maybe a bit less efficient long term. It's kind of a weighing your pros and cons type thing, but because it is universal progression, if you wanted to play multiplayer to max out your XP yields, you could do so, but you could also then jump over to zombies if you want to chill for a little bit and still work on leveling up that same weapon there as well. So that sort of cross progression between modes is pretty beneficial, but as far as which mode is more efficient, we don't know as of yet, but that is something that will become very apparent in the coming days, so potentially stay tuned on some more information there. If you are specifically looking at multiplayer though, there's a couple of other tips you definitely want to pay attention to as you're first getting started. As far as simply just objectively maximizing your XP in multiplayer, playing hardcore actually is a lot more beneficial. Sure, you only get, a one shot basically per life. You're gonna die in 1 to 2 shots in most situations, but that also benefits you with your gameplay. When you're getting kills, you're getting a lot more one shot, one kill medals depending on the weapon you're using, which inherently is more XP. Headshots are easier to come by because it only takes one bullet to actually get a kill, with hardcore obviously active there if you're getting a headshot. So basically every time you're getting those medal pop-ups in game, whether it is for double kill, headshot, one shot, one kill, long shot, whatever the case is, that's more XP you're earning, and you get that a lot easier in hardcore just because it takes so much less to get those kills, and you can get some luckier medal unlocks and some cheesier unlocks there just simply by being in hardcore versus core. So definitely a way to maximize more XP per game there. As far as what you're leveling in game, there's also a few things you might want to be on the lookout for here as well. Typically, my advice year over year when Call of Duty launches is to quickly figure out what the best weapons are, and don't worry, I'll have you guys covered ASAP as soon as I go through and test all the weapons and I'm past my first prestige and have used everything in game. I'll be posting which weapons are the go-to options right away, but you're typically going to want to level up those best weapons or those meta weapons first because they will get nerfed relatively quickly, and obviously it's a lot more efficient to max level a gun when it's at its best than save it for later and say, oh, I want to use some of the off meta stuff, or I don't need to use that yet, it's already really good. Well, if they nerf it and you haven't gotten to it yet, well, then you're using an inferior gun. It's going to be worse. It's going to be harder to get easier kills with, obviously. So level those meta weapons first. That way you don't have to worry about them getting nerfed and potentially thwarting your efficiency when it comes to max leveling everything in the game. If you are a camo grinder this year, obviously we've got a bit of a different camo system. It's like a mashup or a hybrid of old systems and new systems. You have to start off base with headshots, and then you get into some weapon specific categories, right? But with this camo grinding, if you're someone who is ultimately going to go for the mastery camos, but maybe there's some guns you're not really good with or you don't like using right now, good news is, once we start to see seasonal updates drop with season 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth, and we see new weapons added in, those new weapons can actually replace some of the weapons from the original camo grind. So like for instance, if the criteria for unlocking dark matter is to get, spine on 33 weapons, well, that also would apply the same with the new seasonal weapons. So if there is a sniper, for instance, let's say for example, that you don't like using, you can hold off on getting the challenges done on that sniper, and then maybe they drop a new SMG or a new LMG in season 1. You could then get the camos done on that new SMG or LMG, and that would replace one of your 33 for dark matter. So you can kind of mix and match new weapons and old weapons as we get into the seasons there, if you don't want to use some of the more tedious or less ideal base weapons in the game. Kind of a nice way to cheese it if you're not racing to get the camos done as fast as possible. And then to close things out here, just one final XP tip that I also think is just beneficial for gameplay in general. If you're trying to earn more XP, whether it's base rank XP or even weapon XP, because it's the weapon you'll have out in your hands while all this is going on, using non-lethal streaks is great. So calling in UAVs, counter UAVs, advanced UAVs, or the HARP in this game, every time you're getting kills or your teammates are getting kills while you have a UAV active or an advanced UAV active, you're getting assist points there. And that's just basically free XP to stack on top of what you're already getting naturally as you're getting the kills to actually get those streaks in the first place, right? On top of that, if you want to jump into objective modes like hardpoint, domination, whatever the case is there, playing the objective while also getting kills and calling in score streaks is going to stack even more XP. When you're on a flag in domination and you get a kill, it's going to give you even more XP than it would if you just simply straight up got a random kill in TDM. So stacking basically anything that'll give you a bonus pop-up on screen, whether it is a medal or actual just XP bonuses for kills while on an objective or time in an objective, whatever the case is, there is all going to stack towards whatever weapon you have out in your hand at that time, and of course your base rank XP as well, so you can go through and prestige a little bit faster too. So handful of things you definitely want to have in the back of your mind as you are jumping into your first few matches here in Black Ops 6 over the course of the next couple of days. If this video helped you out, gave you some solid information that you're going to apply in game, a like rating would be really appreciated. Help share the video around. And if you are new here, or perhaps you have not subscribed yet, let's change that on your way out. Hit that subscribe button. Join us on the road to 1 million subs, because every single day I got you covered with everything you need to know for Black Ops 6 and Warzone. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.